Welcome in, welcome friends to the newest edition of Seahawkers What If, the most unique Seahawks preview show in the multiverse. I'm your host, Clinton Bonner. I am joined by my co-host, Adam Emmerich, and the protector of this multiverse, Mr. Phil Leidick. Boys, we are 4-2. Boys, we have a very good defensive team in this Houston Texans coming to the PNW. Boys, this game's Monday at 10 o'clock for me. I need to get fired up and keep the coffee going. Adam, how are you doing today, a couple days away from this Monday night brawl with the Texans?
Hey, man, another AFC South matchup here in a division that we don't pay much attention to and see very often. So it's been interesting to see what we had with the Jags there last week. And then we've got a Texans team that has some major strengths and maybe some kryptonite too, Phil. I'm sure you'll get into it a little bit here as we talk about previously with the protector here. What you got? What are you thinking about this Texans team?
Well, let's throw this up. They played 2 weeks ago, and I can show you a few of my thoughts about this particular matchup where the Texans went and played the Ravens. My number one takeaway is the Ravens were horrible. So it was hard to really get a sense have the Texans really solved everything that much compared to the beginning of their season, or the Ravens defense was 32nd in the league coming in this game, and they looked at least that bad. However, the Texans D impressed me a lot, regardless of who was throwing passes. They are second in DVOA overall, third against the pass, right in the middle of the league when it comes to the run at 18th. Their coverage was tight. Whether the quarterback missed them or made the throws, that I didn't see people running open much. Will Anderson is just as awesome as we all thought he'd be going into the draft when we were kind of hoping the Hawks might have a chance at him. They got pressure with 4 consistently. Anderson's a big part of that. He needs double teams. Petrie impressed me a lot. We talked before the show. You guys said that as well. Number 5. He's a nickel back. He had a big game. 1 nice pick, 1 lucky pick, and just a smashing of Henry. He's up around the line. A little bit of a Spoon vibe with maybe just a tad more size when I watch him. Maybe not the same explosiveness as Spoon, but he's gonna be a problem. Flowers, I'll give one encouragement. Flowers from the Ravens absolutely destroyed Stingley on one long one, so it's not like he can't be got. So that encouraged me. Offensively, they're 24th by DVOA even after this game, probably when you consider the opponent. They factored that in with the stats because DVOA includes opponent. Passing, they're 27th by DVOA. Rushing, they are 3rd. That didn't show up when I watched this game. Nick Chubb did have some room to run. He kind of capitalized on what was there. Stroud, of course, loves to connect with his man Nico Collins, number 12, but he does spread the love around. Their left tackle, Ursery, he looked like he was getting beat pretty often. I wouldn't say every play, but he had some really bad reps. Stroud throws bravely. This guy will throw it when he's getting smacked, and he needs to because he was getting smacked. I didn't find him to be necessarily great at escaping. He either threw and got hit or he got sacked. So that's just what I saw. Did you guys see it differently, or did that make sense to you, the things that I saw, Clinton?
Well, I think what you're getting at all makes a lot of sense too. And the part for me trying to assess this performance was, is it just because they played the Ravens at probably the Ravens' lowest mark in maybe like 15 years? You know, this completely decimated team, Cooper Rush at quarterback, and just injuries galore. Yeah. And if you look at the Houston Texans, the week before this game, they were winning 6-0 going into the fourth quarter versus the Titans. 6-0. Now they end up blowing that game out. I think they scored 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter in that game, and kind of like start to figure it out, if you will. But I don't know. I can't be sold that between a quarter of play versus the Titans and then 4 quarters against one of the worst teams in the NFL this year.
Well, 3 quarters because Stroud went out and they just shut it down in the fourth.
Oh, well, there you go. Right.
Yeah.
3 quarters versus the Ravens. Can it be real? Now, things could be 2 things, right? Stuff can be 2 things. They could be getting a little bit better on offense, starting to figure out a bit, and playing some really just poor opponents at the same time. So yeah. I don't know what to think about it, but it will be really cool to talk about, this preview and how we think Seattle could hopefully look the 24th in DVOA with inflated numbers. So what can our Seahawks defense do against them? Adam, anything on this screen or otherwise for you, dude?
You really knocked a lot of it out of the park here, talking about the last couple games with the Texans and trying to get a beat on exactly what this team is. But there's some interesting matchups between position groups that we'll talk about throughout the pod, I'm sure. And I think the biggest thing that I take away from this is that both defenses coming into this game are playing good football, and they're good units with a lot of talent all the way around.
Absolutely. Well, let's get into our theme. Houston is coming up to Seattle. One of the most famous statements made by an American, not while he was on Earth, was Mr. Jim Lovell said, "Houston, we have a problem." And so we're going to talk about problems. And this theme really, I think, will lead into a lot of the things that a lot of you listeners and all of us three are thinking about going into this game. Because there's ways for problems to be dealt with, ways for problems to be caused upon the opponent. So we're going to talk about a lot of those that are in your mind, I hope. If I miss some, of course, throw them in the comments. We love that. But Houston, we hope they have a problem. The categories are be the problem, problem child, create problems, problem solvers, no problem, or you're the problem. Adam, I'm not saying you're the problem, but you're the one that gets to go first. Where do we want to go as we start this off, Adam?
Well, this is a problematic list, but I usually hear things like be the solution, but I'd rather be the problem. Let's start right at the tippy top this week. Be the problem.
Be the problem. Adam, the Texans defense has been great. We talked about that. What if our playmakers, let's leave out the quarterbacks, what if our playmakers can cause them problems? Who might give them fits and why in this matchup, Adam?
Well, let's see. Instead of going over a handful of guys so that Clinton has nothing to talk about, let's just take one to start with here. And I really believe that it's going to be Ken Walker. Their pass defense has been very good. That doesn't mean like every great pass defense, it can get got. So it's not like they're, impenetrable that way. But I'd like to see the Seahawks lean even more heavily into the run game this week. I'd like to see them figure out the distribution of carries between Ken Walker and Charbonnet. It's something we have harped on as a show, as a channel for how many weeks now, boys? 4 or 5 almost. It seems like ever since week 1. And I'm starting to finally see guys like Richard Sherman come out and be like, what are we doing? And some other prominent talking faces on the YouTube. So I think that if we're getting to that point, it's something that Kubiak can't deny anymore, and they're going to get after it with K9 here a little bit. And I think that's the way that you're going to need to attack this defense. And even if you're not having massive success in terms of yardage, the important part is that you're doing it, because that's going to be what makes it so. I'm sure one of the guys that Clinton's going to talk about here coming up is able to go off and have some success and continue their run. So Ken Walker for me.
We got to give Kubiak credit. He's getting that part right in that he keeps running even if it's not necessarily working. It's accomplishing what he needs in his offense. Also, are we not buying the Greg Bell report that K9 has a foot and that's why he's only getting like a third of the snaps? Not touches, but about a third of the snaps. It's been unreported, so I don't know if they can get away with doing that. But Greg Bell said he's got foot issues, and so when they're running into brick walls, it's Charbonnet. Is that fallacious?
It just seems to me like, well, we've known about the foot issues for a long time now, right? So it's not like he had him in the preseason. He had it last year a bit, and I guess it's still there. And are you really trying to kind of gaslight me that if you go from 10 attempts in a game to 14 attempts in a game, that all of a sudden the foot that is there some magic barrier that if he goes over 11 or 12, the foot, swells up? I don't, that's the part that I'm like, I don't buy that fully. So
but he's only out there a third of the snaps. It's not even the carry amount. He's out there about a third of the snaps. So
this last game he was, right, and that was again situational with Seattle ended up with the ball back before the half, so that's sharps, and they just like the 2 minute 4 minute stuff is the sharps time. So just the way it worked out, like time possession, it was about that. I still don't think it's like that you could pin it on a foot thing that we've known about for the longest time. It just does, again, to me, is there some magic barrier we need to know about, like a pitch count in baseball, which is also somewhat ridiculous.
Okay, Clinton. So how about your playmaker? Who's your playmaker that can give them problems aside from K9?
Yeah, so the dude that I love, and we'll continue to love. And thank you for leaving it on the board there. Oh, gracious one,
We
Adam.
all
there.
know where he's going.
For sure. And look, the Texans play a 4-3 defense most often. Now, we've been wanting to get people into 4-3s where they got to play the third linebacker because we have 2 tight ends on the field a lot. Or we were in 11 personnel, but not really. I mean, we are, but Cup or Bobo are really in that condensed formation, and they're doing a job as blockers also. Or we're in 12 and it's condensed, and it's kind of really like a de facto 13 personnel. So with all that said, it's still the middle of the field. It's still AJ Barner time, boys, whether it's the barnyard, the barn stomp, the grizz. I don't care what you call it. Three attempts go his way last week. And he catches all 3. One of them is the big one to end the game with the 61-yarder. But the game previous, he had 7 targets going his way. So I expect there to be a bit more of a dial up somewhere between there, maybe hit the one in the middle, 5 or 6 targets his way. And look, we'll talk about we'll talk about the rest of the Texans team. Like, they are good DBs. They have a good front 4, and the linebackers are not bad. But if you got to figure out a place that you can go maybe eat a little bit, I think it is the middle of the field, at least a little bit. So AJ Barner through the hashes, through the woods, and that's a place where I would look to concentrate. It all stems from running the football, attempting to run it, getting under center, doing it in 12 personnel, and play action passing where you're leaking dudes out for some of those free yards, which Kubiak has been really, really good at this year. Just like, man, at least 4 or 5 times a game, like free first down, free yards, free 8 yards. Kubiak's been really good about that. I think Barner will be the benefactor in this game.
So they're 4-3. We run a lot of 12. We run some 21, a lot of 12. Are they really going to take Petrie off the field for all those? Like, maybe Texan fans that are listening can let us know in the comments. But I'm wondering, if I'm them, I'm not leaving taking one of my best players off just because they show me 2 tight ends. I'm going to put him in there and pull off my other linebacker who's not as quality of a defender. What do you think they'll do on that, Adam?
I would imagine that, there's a few teams in the league that they have built their nickel defense to be able to perform against the run as if you're playing base. And I think that's kind of what they see in Petrie here. And besides being my favorite Land Before Time character, he's a very good nickel corner as well. And I think he could come up and actually perform well down in the box. I'm going to say they're going to test that out to start with and see if they can keep him on the field. And then if it gets out of control, then maybe you see a few more heavier boxes.
I mean, if I'm the Texans, I don't want to take Petrie off and put some linebacker on Barner, right? I mean, that just doesn't make a lot of sense. Whether it's run or pass, I'd rather have my good player out. Kind of like we wouldn't want to take Spoon out if all of our corners were healthy.
Yeah, and I think sorry to cut you off, but I think the correlation to the Seahawks might be Eamon Wari. Yes, he's a safety. Sure, he's a safety, and he's down the box and kind of playing again de facto linebacker a lot, right? So, and you guys mentioned it. That's what they do with their nickel. Petrie we all seem to really like him, right? So we don't watch the Texans all that much. We turn on some tape and go, oh man, he just keeps standing out. He's a good ball player. He's also kind of a playmaker, right? So he kind of has the big splashy plays that are gonna jump out to folks who are watching it from a distance and be like, well, who do we really like? That's the type of dude I think we could all be like, yeah,
oh yeah,
we would love him as a Seahawk. That's the kind of dude we like.
And from our side, you guys were talking about Shaq on the 3 in 3 out show. Griffin, I like him almost better as a linebacker. You were talking about how much you liked him. I'm like, yes, I like him in the run game. I did not like the 7 times he let dudes wide open, whether the quarterback saw him or not. I just don't think he's good at being sticky in coverage. I love his physicality. Could he even be a kind of guy if he could learn to back up Eamon Wari or something in that scenario? Because he's also a good pass rusher. I don't know if that's crossed Mike's mind, but for me, that's where I like Shaq less than going against speedy receivers on the boundary.
Specifically in zone coverage too. Like I just felt like that's where the struggle was for Griffin. And honestly, I think that might have been a little bit of the way that Mike wanted to play against the Jags in that sort of thing.
Make Trevor try to see those.
Yeah, let's see what it looks like for Griffin in coverage for 2-3 games before we're like, oh, he's lost his ability to cover and he's only good in the run game. But we'll see.
I do not want to see Griffin against CJ Stroud because that guy sees the guy that's going to get open quick and will abuse it. I'm a little bit
better
worried.
do it quick.
Yeah. I think
yeah, that's true. That's also true. Okay, let's get to our next category, Clinton. I could go on and on about the difference between Trevor and CJ is, I think, going to be vast. Clinton, where do we want to go next?
Okay, I always love saying this. In life, I think you want to create good problems, right? Not all problems are bad. You want to create good problems, things that flow downstream, and you have to go solve something else because of your actions. So let's create some good problems.
That's what we want to do, Clinton. What if Coach Mike can create problems for Stroud and his offense? How do we expect him to do this, to cause problems? I mean, they've been a really up and down based on opponent, but what do you think's effective against them?
Well, this is where we might have to be a little bit divergent from what Mike Macdonald wants to seemingly always want to be, right? Like, look, we're high on the hog coming out of a game where we got 7 sacks, and that could have been 10, right, with 17 quarterback hits. But it ain't too long ago where we were like, oh my gosh, we have to go make a trade for an edge guy because we couldn't get Baker Mayfield to the ground. In fact, it was a week ago, right? So. And again, stuff can be two things. So what with Stroud and company, we were kind of just talking about, and I'm glad we kind of moved on to this question because it even fits better here. It's like, look, and Adam, you said it, like it's not just Shaq Griffin, it's Shaq Griffin in zone. Okay, well, Stroud can pick apart zone, and that's exactly what we did against the Ravens. I think he had like 80-some-odd% completion percentage. Bad team at this point, we understand that, but 80-something% is 80-something%. If we allow him to pick apart zone, he'll do a pretty good job because he's a step change better than Trevor Lawrence, like no doubt about it. So we got to break a little tendency, guys, is what I'm saying. So what does Mike want to do? Mike wants to only rush 4, even if some of those are the sim pressures, it's still only 4. And he wants to get enough pressure with 4, keep the light box, and then still play zone to basically trick the average quarterback into making enough mistakes. Okay. I think Stroud's above average quarterback, and I think we have to break tendency with being like satisfied with just rushing 4. Does it mean you go Minnesota Vikings and the all out blitz? No, it does not mean that. But does it mean you send some blitzes, let's say 15% more of the time versus Stroud, and you couple that with some man and different concepts out there, not just zone? I think so. How that all plays out, we shall see. But if I'm Mike, that's what I do to kind of tamper Stroud down. And hopefully they do, man, because we're effective when we blitz. But we don't, we're really effective when we blitz, but maybe it's because we just don't do it that often. And that's cool. But maybe a few more times would be very successful for our Seahawks this Monday.
And pre-snap, I don't know if Stroud, if that's his great ability is solving blitzes pre-snap and getting the protection set up. I'm not sure that he's there on that one yet. So that could be a really great call, Clinton. How about you, Adam? Coach Mike can create problems for Stroud in this offense. How should we do it?
It's interesting the way that Clinton's mind is working here in the way he's thinking to go about attacking this team, because for me personally, it would be the exact opposite. The idea of blitzing Stroud more. Why? This is the worst offensive line in all of football.
It's not.
No, it is.
It's not.
It's garbage. It is hot garbage.
It's not that bad. But continue.
I don't know what you're watching then, man, because it's
not
terrible.
Terrible. It's
Seahawks the last 2 years bad. It's awful.
Against Tennessee, they look like trash, but
look, I don't think it's good. I'm not saying it's a good offensive line. I just think the narrative of it being so bad, I think is a little overblown. I think they're doing okay.
I don't. Okay, I think it's 100% accurate.
In the run game, they look pretty good, but they looked really bad protecting.
Against whom? Yeah. A Titans team who just fired its head coach because they're one of the most mismanaged franchises in all of football. And then the Ravens, who are beat up all over the place. They don't have anybody. Their DC stinks, and it's one of their worst defenses in the world. And they look good running the football. I don't think this offensive line is good at all. In fact, I'll triple down on the idea that they stink. They're a terrible offensive line. So just keep bringing your 4 in what you do against bad offensive lines when you have a dominant defensive front is that you continue to rush your 4 and you do a lot of stunts, because that's the thing that's really difficult for bad offensive lines to deal with. And I think you're going to have even more pressure than what you saw against the Jags. The Jags have an offensive line that traditionally was bad, but this year, they've been playing much better. And the week before that, the Bucks, that's a good offensive line short of their right tackle. Their right guard, I know it's their backup, but he was doing okay.
Oh, and
I
Baker
think this
just had a master class on dialing everything up for whatever we had coming. He was just on an absolute roll. So that's a tough game to compare with.
So rush your 4. And then I do agree with Clinton wholeheartedly on the idea of playing a bit more man and getting up on things, because you can get to the quarterback quickly. And if that's the case, then playing sticky man coverage is going to be difficult to deal with. And it's harder to, it's just harder to complete those passes than in zones where guys can just kind of hit a spot real quick and you can thread the ball in there. So that's the way I would go about it, but we shall see. Maybe Clinton's right. Maybe this offensive line is better than a lot of the folks out there, including myself, thinking. But I think this is the biggest mismatch in this entire game, is between these two position groups, our D line versus their offensive line.
I think that's probably true. But what about Reek Woolen maybe following Nico or something? And because I'm not as worried about Stroud against man. He did have one really good scramble that almost was for a touchdown. But typically you don't see him take advantage of man coverage and run after us like a Trevor would or a Baker would or a Kyler would. You don't want to man against those guys and give them their strength. I think you can play some man against him because he's not usually going to kill you with the legs. And I think Reek man to man could handle Nico pretty good. Is that a wild idea, Clinton?
No, I mean, I think Nico is a very, very good wide receiver, like borderline elite wide receiver in this league. And with that, strength on strength, like let Tariq Woolen go do the thing he's actually really good at, which is be a sticky man coverage person. So it'd be cool. Obviously, we're putting this out on Wednesday. We're not going to get an injury report until I think even later today or even Thursday because of the Monday Night Football game. But hopefully Reek is back, and yeah, man, that to me that is a smart plan. We'll see what they do, but I wouldn't mind it, and it'll be very interesting. I'm sure we'll talk about the inverse of that with JSN and Stingley as well as the pod rolls on.
Yes, we will at some point. Adam, you get to go next. What's behind one of these 4 doors for us here?
Hey, man, no probs. Let's go no problem.
No problem. No problem, Adam. What if there is one thing about the Texans? Okay, you already hit on your favorite, so now we got to move. I actually thought this was going to lead you to that last answer. I kind of messed up on how I tried to get you guys going here. What if there's one thing about the Texans you believe is advantageous for the Hawks, and why, besides our pass rush versus their pass pro? Is there anything else that you'd say we have an advantage over them, Adam?
Yeah, so I do believe that offensively speaking, our tight end group and getting in the 12 personnel and all of that has been dominant for this team all year. It doesn't matter who they face. And I think our tight ends give us a huge advantage in just being able to disguise what you're doing to start with. And then secondly, to be good in the blocking scheme to spring the running backs. And then on top of that, being great as pass catchers out there, specifically AJ. So I really like the tight end group, and I don't care who you're facing. I'll take that group in the way Kubiak has implemented them against any defense in the league, and I think they're an advantage.
Well, and Warner's out now, and that was the one guy that worried me against our tight ends. I mean, he's out for the year, so I take our group against almost any linebacker now. Clinton, how about you? Is there an area we've got an advantage against the Texans that you think we can possibly exploit?
Yeah, I think so. So, well, exploit, I guess that could cut both ways. I'm still going to go to the defensive side.
Sure.
Defensive side for us. And the Texans, the way they want to operate is a lot like how the Niners want to operate, a lot like how the Rams want to operate. And they're in 11 personnel a lot, but they still want to run the ball.
Lots of play action.
Yeah, a lot of play action, and they want to run the ball a lot, which is cool. I do think we'll be able to make them fairly one-dimensional, and this is where I think the offensive line for the Texans has been better than trash, but I don't think they're okay at best at running the football, and I also just don't think they have kind of like the fresh horses back there to do it. Like Nick Chubb maybe show. I mean, he was awesome. I freaking loved that guy for a number of years with the Browns, and in fact, wanted Seattle to take him versus Rashawn Petty. But whatever, that's the water under the bridge. But he's just not the same Nick Chubb. He's got a little juice left, maybe. And then you start getting to guys like Damian Pierce and then Woody Marks, their rookie. Woody looks okay. I mean, I know him because of fantasy football mostly, and he's catching some passes, and he's looks like he's got some potential there. But Bijan Robinson, game breaker, he is not.
He's more of a George Halani.
Yeah, he's. We'll see how his career arcs, right? But I don't see amazing special jumping off the page at you when you go look at Woody Marks. Could he have a good day? Sure, any given Sunday. So I just don't think they have explosive running backs. And when you compile that with the offensive line is still, I think, below average for sure. And then you just, hey, our front four and our linebackers have been what they are. They've been exceptional, absolutely exceptional between Murphy, Leo, and others with just stuff on the run. So
when did they blow assignments? Like, I can't even remember the last time. Well, it was against Tampa, but they were passing us to death. Ernest kind of blew an assignment once, but it's been very rare.
The run D's been very, very good. Our run defense is extremely strong. Again, we don't know what's up with Jaron Reed just yet. We got to see what comes of that injury, and he would be a loss because even though he's the third guy, and they're all important between Leo, Byron, and Reed. They're all important. They all get a lot of snaps. So we need somebody else to step up if Reed can't go this week. I guess we'll find out soon. But that's the answer, guys. It's like I still think we can make them one-dimensional, and that should hurt. It should be a big advantage for us.
I'm hoping and expecting that to take place. We have 3 left: problem child, problem solvers, or you're the problem, Clinton.
Okay, I'm gonna say you're the problem. You're the problem.
You're ready.
Let's do it. You are the problem.
Let's get to these guys. We've been we haven't really talked about ours much, but both of these quarterbacks can cause problems, Clinton. What if you describe what is especially tough about defending these guys when they're playing well? For Stroud and Darnold, what's tough about them when they're playing well? The other team might have a problem.
Okay, I'll take Stroud first. I think what I've seen from Stroud now for several years, when he's on time, and he does not need a ton of time. It's not like he's got to sit back there and do all these huge developing plays, but when he's just on time, he's accurate. He knows. I'll go back to it. I think he knows exactly how to go pick apart zones to keep teams in games that maybe offensively are less talented. And he lifts that boat by quite a bit by staying on time. And again, remember, like, who do they want to mimic? They want to mimic like how the Rams play football and how the Niners play football. It's a lot of stuff that is high percentage over and over and over again, and then they'll mix in some seam shots and stuff and some verticals along the boundary. When Stroud is on, he just has enough, just a smidgen more time than you want him to have, and he's just being annoying. He just keeps putting together first downs, and they chew up like a 6-7 minute drive, and you go, where the hell did the quarter go? Because they drove it 82 yards. That's when Stroud's on. I won't answer the Sam part in case Adam wants to take that meat or add on for Stroud.
Could I ask one thing of you guys about Stroud? I just noticed his worst passes were after he went through his reads and he came back to the dump off. Like, a lot of his dump off passes were really ill placed. Has that been a Stroud thing forever, or is just a lot? Because I just watched 2 games, the Titans and the horrible Ravens. He'd go through his reads, and on the occasion when he had enough protection to look back at his dump off, he would just throw these garbage pass that was so hard to catch or hard to do anything with it after and get any kind of yak. Is that a typical thing for him, or is that just here? Did you guys ever seen that before?
Not something that I've noticed over time with him as being something but that doesn't mean that it doesn't exist now. And it's not something that isn't real. I mean, if you're seeing it, then you're seeing it. But to kind of get to the question here about these two guys, the interesting thing is when these guys are both on, they're very similar quarterbacks. plays on time, excellent accuracy. Stroud throws one of the prettiest balls in all of football. I mean, I've been calling him the next Ward Moon since he was at OSU because just the way that he throws the football, it reminds me so much of him. Both can move, but aren't necessarily guys that are going to go out there and scramble around and pick you up yards game in, game out. Just very similar quarterbacks, and he can eat you up. CJ Stroud is legit, man. He's been to the playoffs, I think, every year he's been a starter. That's pretty impressive. If it's not every year, then it's all but one. And just a darn good quarterback. And Sam Darnold is proving to be, at least to this point, a really good regular season quarterback. So that's where we're at with these two guys. And they can cause you problems at all levels. And I guess the only place that they are not going to cause you a ton of problems, Clinton, I don't know if you agree with this, but they're not going to chew you up with their legs game in, game out.
No, typically not. They could do enough damage with their legs, and that's fine. One thing I think is worthy to talk about for Sam's sake and for the Seahawks fans that are listening, be like, come on, guys, let's talk about our guy a little bit.
What about the Texan fans? They hopped on here. They want to say, what do you guys think so good about Sam we have to worry about? I mean, they want to hear too, right, Clinton?
Absolutely. So one of the things is, like, I go back to the Cooper Cup drive last week that ends in the Cooper Cup touchdown with the great anticipation throw and all that. But the Cooper Cup play before that, that's Sam just diagnosing at the line, diagnosing the blitz, and then hitting Cooper Cup in stride between the linebackers and safeties. And again, it's like, it looks like free yards, and it looks like Kubiak's a genius. And while it's a good play call, it's Sam that's like, okay, you're gonna send the blitz here, sure, okay, no problem. And the ball is like, hits that back step, he's under center, hits his back, 3-step drop, the ball's out. There's no chance, unless you are there in literally half a second, which the Seahawks offensive line's been, pretty okay, pretty good in pass protection, actually good. He's eating that stuff up, guys. So yes, he's making some mistakes. His interceptions have come on some blitzes, so you're still going to take your chances, but it is absolutely double-edged sword time for the defense, that if you blitz Sam, he is finding those soft spots really, really quickly. So the mesh of Kubiak setting him up for success, the playmakers understanding their responsibility when there is a blitz, and Sam recognizing it and then just firing the ball to his hot route, it's been deadly for these teams. So the Texans fans that are listening, sure, blitz, but you're going to get burnt a couple of times for chunk plays. That's just his MO.
Yeah, there's one place that I'm pretty sure Sam has been better than Geno, and I'm sure, granted, it's a better offense, but he's really good pre-snap of seeing where the blitz is going to come and getting the guy over there to help make sure that he's going to get the time he needs, or finding out where the single coverage is going to be. I felt like that's where Geno struggled, was recognizing this play is fried, and he didn't catch it in time, and he'd get himself in trouble that way. So that's been an improvement. It could be they're just Sam's getting better coaching. He's getting better material to work with the play calls and the preparation from the O coordinator. But I've rarely seen Sam miss recognizing where to put his help on the pass pro, and that's been a joy to watch. Well, we've now got rid of you're the problem. We've talked about our quarterbacks. We have 2 areas left: problem child, problem solvers. I think there's some stuff we haven't got to behind each of these, Adam. Where do you want to go?
Well, I want to pick one in a space that I'm comfortable living in, and my parents would confirm this. I'm the problem child. Let's go problem child and see what we got.
Okay, Adam, we haven't done this in just a little bit. I like to throw these in sometimes. What if we highlight our rookies? Which ones do you think will be keys in this matchup against the Texans, Adam?
This is an interesting question. So I think, because I'm just so excited about what I saw last week, Eamon Wari coming in and providing what he does on the perimeter has been just a breath of fresh air.
Yes.
I think I saw somewhere that he might be one of PFF's highest graded safeties in all the league right now. And which, it's PFF. So take that however you want. But with that said, he's been impressive when he's been out there, and I'm excited to watch him grow and continue to take those steps. And you pair him with Spoon and Woolen and Job and Love, and you get all that back. it gets spicy in a hurry.
Oh, yeah.
So of the rookies, probably the one that I'm most excited to see this upcoming Monday. I don't know, Clinton. Like there's a plethora to choose from. You're going with Arroyo, right? Your favorite rookie?
No. But the fun part of your answer too, I just want to restate is you also said, it's Spoon and Love, and you were naming some dudes like, okay, we got to get them back. Like we need,
I think
we need
Love's
them
after
back.
the bye. That's my prediction
yeah,
as the protector here.
we
But I think we're
shall,
gonna get the rest
yeah.
of them.
We shall see, right? We got the bye coming up, so and then we don't play till what, Sunday night versus the not that the night matters, but versus the Commanders. We need some of those.
Oh,
guys
that 5
back.
hours is going to get loved in the game. Clinton. That extra
Hey,
5 hours.
Mr. Miyagi did it in like a half an hour, and like the half an hour flat, he had Danielson back out there. So I believe, at least I want to believe. All right, so my answer, no, it's not Arroyo, and Arroyo continues for me to be a little bit middling, and we'll see. But hopefully it's okay, it's fine. I'm not gonna go down negative town here, but it is Torrey Horton, and the reason it's Horton is kind of last game. I don't think he maybe had a target or two, maybe no catches. I think he catches a goose egg, and we're like, hey, look, can we continue being so JSN dependent? Last game is 13 targets for JSN. He goes 8 for 162 with the touchdown. Cool, that's great and all. This is a better defensive team. The Texans to me are a top 5 defensive unit, maybe even better. Yeah. And their DB room is just, we've been gushing about Petrie, but Stingley is of course a heck of a DB, heck of a corner. They've got good safety play. So
Lassiter's really good too.
Yes, Lassiter is. They're just good. This is a good defensive team, man, and they play sound football. So and they have a good front four that will put pressure on the quarterback, right? Maybe their sacks are not there so far. I think they have 12 on the year, so they're not getting home, but they are getting pressure, and that does matter. So with all that said, I think we have to be a bit more spread the ball around and do that on purpose in this game, and not see a target share that's like 55% for JSN in this game. So what does that mean? Well, whatever. It's going to go around a few more places, and then I expect Horton to be a kind of a forgotten guy, So maybe we get Horton 2 to 3 receptions, not major, but 2 to 3 receptions, 2 first downs. Maybe one of those is a touchdown or a 30-yard type explosive. That is a dude I'd be watching for from a rookie standpoint. That I'm not saying it's like go bet on him in a fantasy daily thing, but when you think about the game later and go, who are difference makers, I would be willing to bet Horton has a pretty good day.
We got some children that could be a problem. Boy, I'm excited about Eman Wari. I mean, that guy, it looks like his ceiling is the solar system. I mean, really, what can't he be as a playmaker on defense for this team?
He's exciting.
Just from the little bits that we've seen.
Yeah.
It's pretty exciting.
Good.
Pretty exciting. You could see why the whole team wanted to make that move and go get him when you watch the kind of skills he has. Problem solvers is the final one, Clinton. Problem solvers is what we have left. Let's talk about some of those. We've been kind of needling at it just now. Some of the Texans defenders that we need to solve. Which big-time defenders can you think of solutions? You talked about Torrey Horton. They've got some big-time defenders. We've been mentioning their names throughout. What are some other solutions that you can think of to deal with them, Clinton?
Yeah, I mean, so the middle of that line, there is, yes, there's Daniil Hunter and there's Will Anderson on the edges, but their defensive tackles with Rankins, and I think it's still Mario Edwards is one of them, they're just good.
Yeah,
Rankins, go ahead, sorry.
Edwards was playing good. He was getting
Yeah.
some penetration, taking up double teams. Yeah.
Just NFL guys that know how to do their job, right? They're just good. So I think they've got the beef up front, and I know they got the speed and talent on the edges. This is a good group. One of the continuous discussions in our Discord is over kind of the play strength of Zabel and Sundell. And, Zabel is extremely athletic, and we want to go run wide zone, and you get him on a double team, and you get him to go chip, and then get to a second level. Incredibly successful. And there's some warts in play strength when it's one-on-one. He's got to go against, a nose or a defensive tackle that is just, a veteran guy that just can move bodies. And that's okay because it's year one and you could put on strength. And Zabel's still been really, really good. But that area specifically, well, how do you help that potentially? Well, you get into you get your fullback on the field, and you very much purposely try to establish a run. Yes, we're a wide zone team. It's difficult to run wide zone versus a team that puts out a 4-3. This is harder to do. So again, maybe break a little tendency, get your fullback on the field, and maybe just try to give your left side, your center, and your left guard a little bit of help when you want to go to the left-hand side, which I think, Adam, we've had more success. We covered it on a 3 and 3 out, running the ball to the left. So that's how I try to mitigate that, guys, is overload 12 personnel, maybe 13 personnel, or just when you get your fullback in there, and give some help to the left-hand side of the line for pure strength purposes.
We talk about strength. How long till we get our actual strong fullback back? Because the one we're putting out there is not strong.
Brady played, just real quickly, I thought Brady played a pretty significant game last week. I'm not saying good, bad, but pretty significant. He was on the field for some of our biggest chunk plays and some of our best runs.
Yeah, I'd take him on a corner. I'd take him up against a nickel.
With that, I want Robbie Oots back as well. So he's eligible, right? This has been out 4 weeks now. Is that correct?
That's what I thought, but I didn't know if we heard if he's going to be active or anything yet.
Yeah, I don't know yet, but man, I would love to get Oots back in this lineup. I think he'd be a difference maker come Monday night for sure.
How about you, Adam? How are we going to deal with these big troublemakers? How can we solve some problems against all these defensive makers they have?
Yeah, this is going to be a really fun matchup on the outside. Clinton talked about the interior guys, and they're all very good, solid NFL interior defensive linemen, and that's cool. And he touched on Hunter and Anderson. So let's focus on them just a bit more because they're real good.
Yeah, they are, man.
They can mess up your day in a hurry. This is probably the best edge duo that we faced so far this season for Abe and Cross.
Bosa, but he didn't have the other
side.
side.
Exactly. Yeah, the other side, right? So I think this is going to be a significant challenge. And the cool thing is that the scheme itself kind of lends itself into helping out your tackles in this sort of situation by leaning into the 12 personnel. We keep saying it. It's like we're addicted to the number. We're the 12s. We love 12 personnel, like all of it, right?
But we're good out of it. We're awesome out of it, in fact. So, right?
Exactly. And even Clinton, I think you made an important point of, when they're in 11 personnel, so 3 wide receivers and 1 tight end, it's not a traditional 11 because Kupp or Bobo or even Young are good blockers. Maybe we could call that like 11 and a half personnel or something like that because they're almost like a tight end out there. But with those extra guys out there in line, whether it's in the condensed split or you're in line with the rest of the offensive line, you're able to chip on the outside edge rushers and just give Cross and Lucas a little extra help out there against these guys who are twitchy as heck. They are strong as heck, and they can mess up your entire Monday if you let them. So it's the most intriguing matchup to me when we're playing offense.
Okay, my most intriguing matchup you guys didn't mention, and I'm very surprised that nobody did. Can you guys guess what you think is my most intriguing matchup that was not mentioned against their big-time defenders?
Jason Myers versus the Fairbairn.
I was going to say Arian Foster versus Lofa, but probably Stingley and JSN. If I had to guess.
Yes.
Let's talk about it.
I think we're all looking forward to seeing if JSN can cook Stingley a couple times. Do we think he can? The next time I see somebody that's able to lock down JSN this year, it will be the first time I see someone able to lock down JSN. Are we worried that they can lock him down? I don't think anybody can by themselves, for one. Do you think?
Well, a couple things. I expect Stingley to travel with him. I guess he traveled most of the time. Most of the time he travels with the one. So we could expect him to travel. We think he'll travel with JSN. All that being said, like, I don't I don't expect JSN to get get like a 60-yard bomb versus Stingley. I don't expect, because that doesn't happen that often anyway, right? So
Zay
I don't
got
expect,
one.
Yeah, Zay got one. And that was with Cooper Rush. I still don't expect that to be the outcome. But I still think, I also don't look at Stingley and I go, oh my gosh, he's, like a sticky nickel that you just can't shake whatsoever. I think Stingley is a very, very fine DB, like very, very high caliber.
Usually
And
stays on top. Yeah.
And JSN is a craftsman, so craftsmen are
Yes.
going to do what craftsmen do. And that is all the little subtle things. And Kubiak is scheming them enough open. So while I don't think it's a 13 target, 8 reception game, I still think JSN gets his, and and it's important yards and first downs and stuff like that. So, that's my take. Is I think
But
he's
JSN's more Antonio Brown than like Megatron. I mean, he's remember, like, Sherman would try to take Antonio Brown. There's certain guys that you just can't keep them from getting open. And I feel like JSN is the next guy in the league that is you can't. And we said that when he was drafted. It just took a little bit for him to get used to the next level of NFL defenders. But now he's back to what he was doing versus the people at his level. You just can't keep him from getting open. Am I wrong? Am I too overexcited about this guy? Yeah.
Well, I haven't seen it yet, Adam. I mean, we talked about it a bit. He ended up with 79 yards versus the Cardinals, and a lot of those were late, so they did the best job against him.
Yeah, that's true. And this is the first time he gets the test with the
This is
Stingley.
a bigger test. But what do you think, Adam? Do you think it's just like, hey, man, just JSN's going to do his thing?
There's going to be a week.
Right.
So I don't know when it's going to be where JSN doesn't put up numbers because receivers, they're dependent on everything else around
Everybody.
them. It's hard for them to have like consistently huge numbers week in, week out, even if you're Jerry Rice or Randy Moss or Calvin Johnson, right? So there's going to be a week that happens, maybe even 2. But for the most part, he is really come into his own, and this scheme really fits with what he does well. And, you heard Mike talk about it with his show with Brock and Salk, and talking about how, because of the way that they're playing offense, that it makes it so difficult to consistently down in, down out cover a guy like JSN, because you're doing so many different things, and he is that kind of versatile. So, we'll see how it goes here with Stingley. It's a fun matchup. It's a top tier type corner. Whether or not you want to say he's the 6th best corner in Stingley or the 2nd or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a high variance position too, right? It's just it's DBs and corners, like, oh, he got 8 interceptions this year and he got 1 the next year type thing. Yeah. DBs, it's so much scheme and what you're going up against as well. So, but I am excited for it for sure, Phil. And guys, one thing I wanted to, I think, correct. So it's like I'm partially maybe correcting. I believe Oots got injured in game 3 versus the Saints. Okay. And so if that's the case, he's still got to miss this game, and then they'll have the bye week. So I think we expect him back versus the Commanders would be, I think that's accurate, guys.
Appreciate that. And my thought is, travel with JSN and just keep one guy on him at your own peril. I'd love to see it. Just leave one guy on him all game.
Yeah, if you want to go one-on-one, let's go. You want to rotate a safety over there? Sure. And that's why Horton's going to have a couple guys.
All right, gentlemen. Adam's got his fire cooking there in the 33-degree Montana. Clinton's in the northeast, where it's probably cold outside, but not where he is. I've got to fix my furnace because I'm somewhere in between. But it's time for our wishes. Not talking about wishes for heat at home, but wishes for heat in the game. What if Superhawks? Before we hear Clinton and Adams, we need to hear from our flock. We have a lot of fun in the Discord, Adam. It's a blast. We find answers throughout the week. We discuss, we argue. Good time as Seahawk friends. How do we all get into? Oh, it's on the screen. What does that say, Adam?
It says you can join the flock and then go to getintheflock.com. That's literally what it says. And it's something you should do because it's a lot of fun. Get in the Discord, man. And, as Phil talked about, it's kind of like family. Like, you agree on a bunch of stuff. You love each other. You disagree about some stuff. But you actually like hanging out with these people instead of like your family. So it's a lot like being with family, but Seahawks related. So it's a good time.
And you even included the colon, so we got all our punctuation proper when you spoke it.
That's right.
There are some colons in the Discord as well. I'm not talking about the people that type having colons, but we do throw those in there. Here's the wishes from the wishing well. Car did it right away, getting my wish in early this week because I already know what I want. 10 sacks. Car must agree with Adam that this is the worst offensive line since wet toilet paper, so she's hoping for 10 sacks. Josh might as follow suit. I'm wishing a rushing touchdown by either a running back, a fullback, or Sam Darnold. Well, who else is getting a rushing touchdown? I guess he eliminated the
end around or the jet sweep.
Yeah, jet sweeps. And yeah,
okay. And then we have Nate Schutz. The offense is prepared for the Texans defense. They're very good and can cause a lot of problems. Hope you like the episode so far, Nate. We've been talking about that a lot. Then we have Godzilla Hawk. K9 and Sharps combined for 150 rushing yards. That would be fun.
Careful.
We haven't seen that yet. JSN, jiggy with it. JSN burns their secondary, even though they double and triple team him. And they watch hopelessly. I kind of like that as well. Darnold Duck, my wish. Someone tells Kubiak that Sharp was cut, and we hide him in an equipment room until he's actually needed. He's in the blue tent, guys. I don't know why. And we don't say that people are in there holding him down. Hurricane Seahawks, I agree. I wish we focus on tight end play this week against a good run D, and then focus on the run game against Washington's number 20. Run defense next week. Is Washington their D coordinator?
No, I just think he's saying the Commanders next week are not a good run defense.
Got it. Okay, I get it. Okay, thank you for helping me.
No worries.
And then we have, I assume the game Monday is going to be close. With that in mind, I wish for a victory that flows early. And that's one of the ideas behind a wish. You think it goes this way, but you would love it to go this other way. Anything that jumps out to you from our Flockers wish list, Clinton?
Well, real quick, I know Bunny also wished for health, which is good, right? We want our guys back healthy, which is very good. Look, I know it's a long shot, but that's why they're wishes. I got to go Godzilla Hawk. If we can get 150 yards plus from Sharps and K9 combined, I don't think so, but it's a wish, and what a wish that is.
Adam, any of these pop out to you?
Yeah, I mean, that was the one that popped out to me because Clinton, you're 100% right. You get to that, 125, 150 yard mark in the running game, then your offense is going to be on schedule. It's going to be difficult to stop. It's going to be balanced. And you're going to hang a bunch of points on whatever team you face. And, between the two units, the pass defense unit and the run defense unit for the Texans, the running game is where people have had a little bit more success. So let's hope that and wish for that sort of success this upcoming week.
So now we get to Adam's wish before Clinton's wish. Last week, Adam's wish did not come true. K9 2-1 carries over Sharps. Sharps got 2-1 snaps, not carries, but it went kind of the other way a little bit. What is your wish for this week, Adam?
My wish for this week is Anthony Bradford has 0 whiffs in the run game. Just straight up whiffs. Like, do something. Like, just eliminate those mistakes. I think it helps keep the continuity of the run game going. I think it would really help the offense as a whole. So that's just it. Hey, just don't have those 3 terrible plays this game. No whiffs.
No whiffs in the run game for Anthony Bradford. We hadn't mentioned him yet this episode, but he generally factors in. How about you, Clinton? Your what-if Super Hawk for this game?
Yes, and I love your wish, Adam. I want to believe once again. Phil, I like my numerology, so I'm going to go to it right here. And there's a real reason for this one. I want 12 completions to non-JSN Seahawks. 12 plus completions to non-JSN Seahawks. And I really want more balance in this game. I think we need it. I think we need to spread the ball around. So 12 plus from everybody else not named JSN.
And you're going to kill my son's fantasy team while this happens.
Look, JSN could score 3 touchdowns. Okay, that's totally. And in fact, there was no ceiling on what JSN could do, right? There's no ceiling. There's not zero sum here. But I do want to see 12 plus receptions from non-JSN participants.
And before we get to your score prediction, I forgot to mention what I know you're excited to hear, Clinton. How many how many tosses did you want Sam to throw last week? Do you remember?
Yes, I know it was under 28 was my.
And how many tosses did he throw?
I'm guessing. Oh, it was a small. Like, what was it? 26.
27. And the funny thing
27.
was, it changed it after I said 27 or I don't. Anyways, I
Right,
repeated it the first time, and you fixed it to say no. I mean under 28, and so
28,
you
there
got
we
it.
go.
You got it
Perfect.
when you corrected me with exactly 27. So nice job by you, and the balance was pretty good. Even though the
Yes.
balance in success is different, we just want a good offense. We just want a good offense. So Clinton moved from a 1-game lead to a 2-game lead. Obviously, Brandon is not with us this year because Clinton is rolling.
Ooh, shots fired at him.
Adam,
That's fine.
Time-
That's fine.
time
It's
to
early in the
start-
season. Lots of people taking victory laps on all sorts of stuff about this year when we're basically a third of the way through the year.
Yeah.
There's still 2/3 of the year to go. So enjoy it now, Clinton.
I will.
It's cool.
Thank you. I do enjoy it.
But I'm gunning for you.
Yeah, well,
Start
you know how, like,
channeling your Brandon prediction abilities from here forward. And
well, Mr. Phil, just mathematically, you know how he wanted Sharps Sharps to have half the attempts of K9. Well, he has half the wins that I have, and 1/3 of the way through the season.
so Clinton's
Those
not
are
going to
facts.
count it unless he doubles you all year, Adam. He won't even consider it a victory unless he can finish with at least twice as many wins as you. That's what
Wow.
he's saying.
If that's
didn't say
true,
that. I
then the
didn't.
arrogance is getting a little higher. Yeah.
A lot of
And
hubris
that's
on
fine.
this end,
Keep
yeah.
sleeping on me, man. Let's see how it goes.
Okay then, Adam. Adam, you have a pretty good wish here. I think's got a chance, maybe. No whiffs in the run
Yep,
game.
yep.
How about your score prediction as the Texans come to town? Will Houston have a problem here in Seattle?
They will, because I have seen with my own two eyes for 30 years of watching football what happens when bad offensive lines face good defensive fronts. And every time it's dysfunction, it's ugly, and it's a tough go. And that's exactly what's going to happen for the Texans here. Coming into our house, it's going to be loud. Once the defense gets going early, it's going to be one of those games where it's just going to be a cacophony of noise, and this offense is just going to really struggle. And so I think at the end of the day, we're talking 23-13 Hawks.
23-13. So we're also going to do pretty well against this great defense, you think? Or our defense is just going to get one of those Michael Bennett type of scores on Monday night? That'd be fine, too.
That'd be
They
fun.
don't necessarily have to do that, but by getting 3 and outs and keeping the Texans off the field, it's just going to give the offense a lot more opportunities. And if you have that sort of time and advantage in time of possession, you usually are able to put up at least 20 points. So I'm going to say 23-13, book it. And that'll be a win for me, Clinton. We'll be 1 win apart. So whatever score you want to predict, go for it. It's not going to be as close as mine.
What do we got, Clinton?
I think this is going to be a pucker up and ride this entire game. I think it's going to be tight. I think it's going to be tight the entire game. I think our Seahawks win, but I'm looking at 20-16. They try some stupid 2-pointer thingy. It fails. 20-16 Seahawks. I just have a feeling it's going to be one of those. We don't know how this game's going to break until the fourth quarter, and it breaks our way because we are a better team.
You both have it under 40 points, so I guess you're saying it's take the under in this particular matchup.
Yeah,
which
and
might-
Vegas has it right there, by the way.
defenses.
Vegas has it at like 40.5 is their over-under. So
two
they're
top 5
Okay.
defenses. That kind of makes a lot of sense. This
Yeah.
this should be, you would think, with that as the lowest total points for the weekend. It's got to be right in there. I mean, I don't.
Oh, there's a bad game. There's something. I think there's one out there that's like, oh God, I have to go look. I think there's like a 37 pointer.
Dolphins.
Something-
Two
Bengals
bad
or something.
offenses is worse than two good
Something
defenses.
tragic
Right?
is on the board. Yeah, I'll look it up in real time because it's fun.
That brings us to the end. We've gone through all the stuff. Anything we missed that I didn't get covered that you're like, we got to talk about at this particular matchup? Adam, can you think of something that you were just raring to say about this game?
I would love to be able to pick a nit and say you forgot something, Phil, but you did an excellent job. Another great round of questions, a good premise with the Houston has a problem. I love the little astronauts. So those of you who are listening audio only on the podcast, there was a wonderful graphic of basically like an astronaut fight getting ready to happen, and with a Texans logo and a Seahawks logo. I appreciated that very much. So I think for the rest of the day, Phil, just pat yourself on the back and consider yourself a champion for the day.
And thanks for understanding why I asked. I just needed accolades. I just needed praise. And so, Adam, you knocked that question out of the park. Everything was covered.
Am I somebody to just hand out praise for the sake of handing out praise? Does anybody take me that way?
No, but why not?
No. So I'd say it's earned.
Okay. Yeah. So thanks. Clinton, anything you wanted to mention about this game before we just close it up, say goodbye?
Yeah. The only other thing that I think is worth saying that we didn't get to is that while I agree with Adam that this is not Adam thinks it's a really, really bad offensive line. I think they're slightly better than a terrible offensive line. I think the left-hand side of the Texans offensive line is where we need to eat. So that is specifically where I'd like to see us. I know we're going to stunt to all sides, but I'd love to see if that's D-Law's side, if he could stack a couple of great games back to back and just beat Chenny Gold Jackets, why not? But that left-hand side of the Texans O-line, it's young, it's inexperienced, and it's not that good. It's not that good. So I want us to eat there. That'd be great.
Feels like we finished where we started, because then when we did our previously, we talked about their left tackle being pretty poor, and now we're going to end up there. So we're doubled down on the advantage there. You had something else?
Just real quick. Speaking of poor, the Dolphins are playing the Browns, and the over-under is 39.5. 39.5. So that is the low watermark for expected points total. But with all that said, I know, right? Dolphins, Browns at 39.5. And with all that said, Vegas still thinks that we're only 40.5 with the Seahawks and the Texans. So they are expecting a slugfest, and they expect defense to dominate.
It's terrible offense for the one score. It's really good defense for the other score. So I take ours as a compliment. They should take that for the slight that it is. That's what the Dolphins.
I don't think that they're saying that Dolphins Browns is going to be necessarily terrible offense. I think they think that Dylan Gabriel's about to hang 30 points because the Dolphins no way score more than 10 in any game with the amount of dysfunction that's going on there. Tua just threw his entire team under the bus. They hate him. McDaniel's about ready to be gone. Like, it's awful. It's awful over there.
Off the rails
it's
quick.
So much fun watching the stupid fish just burn down in Florida. My sports hate for that team is so high. Screw them forever. So thank you for bringing them up, Phil. I've been waiting all week to talk about that nonsense down in Miami.
Thanks, Clinton. I'm glad we got it to the Dolphins, which are strangely an issue from Adam, which they haven't mattered for most of my lifetime. I mean, even when they had a great quarterback, they just got buried in a Super Bowl and then never went back. So no Dolphins fans are listening right now for us to even make fun of. So this isn't even fun.
What's for me?
We're screaming into an empty container right now, but that's okay. Texan fans, apparently we think you have a good team, but we think our team is better. You can argue with us in the chat, in the YouTube comments. We would love for you to do that, but we've covered this game. Looking forward to a good one. Let's all stay healthy. And with that, I guess there's just one thing left to say. So, Adam, what if we say...
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks. Houston, you have a problem. It's in Seattle.
And go Hawks.